Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you, and peace out to the rest of you. This is the blackest hearted man on social media asking you to hit the share button again because the message is more important than the messenger. Quick BSR, that means Black Service Reminder. Black History Months ain't over. They're not over until December the 31st at 11:59 p.m. They start again at 12 a.m. on January the 1st. All right. Now that we got that out the way, my role in the Black Manosphere is to tell black men and the black women who actually care genuinely about black folks and the state our people are in, about the truth regarding other groups of people, be they other black nationalities or non-black but yet melanated groups of people, so that we can avoid the misconceptions that a lot of us have, and we can make strategic decisions on what we will learn from other people and take, as opposed to making ill-informed decisions on how we're going to imitate them. Because number one, we can't imitate other people. Number two, we certainly cannot take that which is not going to help us thinking that it'll help us. We have to remember and keep in mind that in actuality, black folks, the truth be told, black folks not the worst. We don't have the worst habits, and everybody else is not united, certainly not more so than we are. And other groups of people actually are not really one group. Indians are not one group, they're multiple groups, and within these groups you've got different castes. It's the same thing in Pakistan. Different villages don't like each other. So no, everybody else is not more united than we are. They're not better at running a business than we are. Truth be told, Arabs sometimes open up a business, and what do? They get a non-Arab to staff the business and pretend to be the owner. And in this way, Arabs don't go to them asking for a hookup or a handout, because they will do this. So everybody is not succeeding in business except for black people. It's not the way that works. In the West, more businesses fail than succeed, no matter who owns them. Sometimes it is better to know a location but not know the people, because by knowing a location very well but not knowing the people, you can open up a business that will succeed. And I'll give an example. This applies across the board, no matter who you are and no matter what your origins are. When you open up a business, of course, you have to have something in which people are interested. But people only have an interest in paying the money if their interest in what you have supersedes their interest in keeping that money and saving it. You understand that basic thing. Now, if everybody knows you and you open up a business, what they will do is they will surround your business and they will try to get as much without paying. It goes beyond just accepting a discount that you offer. It's more like they're trying to benefit without paying, without you benefiting. An example is going to be when I finished high school, I had to leave my hometown. There was no business I could have started that would have been supported. Whites would not have supported me, and black folks would not have supported me. People that was something else in between would not have supported me. Nobody would have supported it. Black folks would have been trying to get the hookup and the discount all the time, paying nothing at all. If I were to have thrown parties, renting out venues and throwing parties and charging admission, everybody would have surrounded and they would have all refused to pay. If anybody did pay to get in, everybody outside would have been texting the ones on the inside, hit this fire escape right quick and let us on in. But as for paying me a few dollars to get in and paying $2 for some drinks, that would have never happened. Now, when a low-life piece of crap from my neighborhood decided to do this, People paid money to get into the parties. They did not do this other stuff, and they paid him so much that he could do a few of these a year, and he had enough income to not work the rest of the year. Do I hate him? Not really. I've disliked him because of who he was before this. Do I hate the black community in my home city? Absolutely. I absolutely do. Because they validate Nook figures like him, and they've been doing it for the longest. And I'm not going to forgive them for it. They're worse than the ones they validate because they validate them. Now, you may think that everybody else hates black folks. That's not true. You may think that other people of color are natural allies. That's not true. The truth is somewhere in between. Exactly how far in between is something you can only know by either listening to the ones who do or directly observing it yourself. Because of the camouflage I have, the same camouflage that has made me ineligible in the eyes of many black American women, I can get more information in less time. It is not anybody's fault. It's just the way things turned out. So since I'm able to do it, I might as well go ahead and let you benefit. But I'm not interested in relaying this information to dumb niggas that are holding back the community, not to the matriarchy or the gynocracy or its ma'am dingoes or its goons. I'm interested in relaying this back to black folks who are concerned about the improvement of the situation of black males and the black community, not just black women. No. The ones who are concerned about the improvement of black patriarchy and responsibility, but patriarchy. That's who I'm concerned about. And I do know a few women in my life that I wouldn't mind telling this information to. But the women that are, let's say, like Cynthia G, I don't want to know the information. I want them to continue thinking that every single other ethnic group has this stuff on point and that we don't. That we black men are the only ones in the world that don't have anything going for us. Why do I want them to think this? Eventually, they're going to seek out these other groups. I do not care about their losses. As a matter of fact, I want them to jump ship. Not just her. It is also other women that give her credibility. Not just who may say hello on the panel or the live stream, but the ones who bring her on the live streams and listen to her and will turn around and repeat something she says like she got any business talking about anything. I want them to think that every Indian man is superior to black men. Because see, what sisters are demanding is that you succeed in life in the corporate boardroom and you succeed on the streets. They're demanding both. It has to be both. I want them to understand that the only ones who are actually most likely to do well enough in both are going to be black men. Only. I've seen it myself. I've seen Indian men that they can't survive on the streets and they can't survive in the corporate boardroom. They got to open up a business and all of their businesses ain't doing well. I've witnessed many of them before. They very slowly advance. And a lot of Indian men don't marry when they're young. They can't marry until they're old. That's not fair to them. That is not fair to them. A lot of people in these societies do push their kids to go into fields they absolutely hate. They're not well adjusted, and this is not healthy. The two things you don't want to do: you don't want to push your kids into a field that costs them a lot of money to study but doesn't pay at the end. That's one extreme. The other extreme is to push them into a field they dislike just because it makes money. That's also not good for a community. I mean, let's call it what it is. We like to talk about the Chinese being so big and bad and so together. You won't live in an average house in China? I didn't say the palaces. I'm talking about just the average house in China. You won't live there? You still are thinking that the Chinese are just naturally superior to you when in fact they're not. You don't want the way that things are run in China. You think every Indian man is naturally superior to you? My job, my role in the Black Manosphere is to tell you their actual strengths and their actual weaknesses as best I can learn them. You seem to be more in need of knowing their weaknesses. But that's my role. My role is not really to just get into beefs for the purpose of entertainment. Just as MOT has said that he will not get into beefs just simply to entertain you. He will engage in beefs because of his ideologies. And that's logical. But my role is not necessarily that. And this is part of why it is that I'm not going to be talking trash. Even when I do disagree with someone, I'm certainly not going to be talking trash by name. He's able to do that because he can put his face on YouTube. I'm not able to do that. I spy on people. When they're not black, I get all the information out of them I can get. My face gets up there, that's over. If my face gets up there, guess what else is over? My children's safety. They're back in the States. And that reminds me, I need to tell Brother DH some information he asked me before about some of these outfits that were after me earlier. But in reality, truth be told, truth is, everybody ain't really all that they're cracked up to be. And they're not as united. They're not even as homogenous or as monolithic as we tend to think that they are. Many of these other groups that we know by one label are actually very diverse internally. Most Pakistanis do speak Urdu. Punjabi's related to Urdu. But guess what else? They come in different tribes and they don't all like each other. In India, they got 1,000 different languages by themselves. And they don't all like each other across tribal or class lines or regional lines. Guess what else? The Chinese are not all united. They have more than one language. They don't all speak Mandarin only. There's also Cantonese. I don't know how closely related they are, but they're not exactly the same language, or languages for that matter. The Asians in general are not all together. The Southeast tropical Asians aren't even a problem for black people as a whole. They will get along with you and can't stand the Chinese or the Korean because the Chinese or the Korean will simply look down on them right off the bat and look down on you. Most of them have an issue with the Japanese, but the Japanese don't necessarily hate black people. They may be divided on the subject of having black grandkids. Just as an example. Most importantly, what you need to know is their relationship with you. That is the most important thing to know at this point. And I want you guys to understand and realize that I'll help you with that. But you got to be willing to do one or two things. Either you shut the F up and listen when people who know are telling you what you don't know, so that you're not just going off of common perception and which can be a misconception, or you get in there and you find out this information yourself by identifying members of these communities you can trust to tell you the truth, asking a few questions, fudding the shuck up, and listening. And giving just enough feedback to keep them talking so you can learn more. That's it. Because right now I see a dangerous pattern that is not so much in the content creators yet, but in the commentators, of making these assumptions about everybody else and then suggesting strategies that are based on misconceptions. We need to push our kids into maths and sciences. No, nigga, you don't need to push them into these things. You can push them into them if they show a proclivity for them already. You wouldn't even have to push them. If not, you tell them to pick a language to study, or you tell them to pick a trade or a skill. You don't push them into something they absolutely hate. You have to do this because that's where the money is. What happens if the money's not there? If everybody pushes their kids into one field, the average wages in that field will go down. Guaranteed. You think I want everybody teaching English as a second language? Hell no. Everybody comes over here, then guess what? The benefits dry up. It doesn't matter anymore. Now I got to pick another skill that not everybody has. So people have their natural talents, and these things will be evenly distributed. That's fine. But you do have to avoid two extremes. The Chinese are on one extreme, we're on the other. The best way is some balanced middle, and we haven't found that. The Chinese, they will tell their kids, you're going to be a doctor. It's not about you helping people, it's about that money. So I can brag to my friends about how successful my kids are. That's not how you live your life. On the flip side, you don't do what we do, where you can just go and study anything you want. No, nigga, you gonna look and see if it pays you enough to justify the cost of studying it. You gonna do that too. You can learn something, but if it's something you like but it don't pay nothing, you learn something that you like that does pay at least a medium amount, then you can study the other one on your own dime and in your free time and at your own schedule and at your own pace. There's a middle ground. And we black folks suck at finding middle grounds, but we're not the only ones. Other groups have that same weakness too. If we find that first, we got them beat in that regard. But you don't know that because you think everybody else is all together. My role in the Black Manosphere is to come back to you with the information as to exactly how together they are and are not. Don't let them fool you with one thing. They are not united. They're just unanimous in how they react when we walk in the room with the melanin and the nappy hair and the wide noses. That's all. We walk in there with rhythm. Then they have a common reaction. That's when the nigger alarm goes off and all of them get on code. And the world's not united against you. It's just that there are large chunks of the world that are united, minus some exceptions. And believe you me, we can capitalize on those exceptions as well for both our benefit and their own, because since they're not enemies, neither aggressively nor passively are they enemies. They're in a position in which we can help both of us so that we don't have more enemies later and they don't become machines of our true enemy, which is white supremacy. Further cogs and cooperatives of it. Right now in Southeast Asia, Southeast Tropical Asia, we cool as hell to them. They don't have an issue with us, but they're still bleaching. Now, what happens if there are more of us there doing our thing, but we're also telling them, you ain't got to bleach. Ain't nothing wrong with the way you look. Stop doing this trying to look like people that don't respect you. We tell this and put that fire in them. Guess what you got? If you don't have an ally, which you probably will, you certainly will have a non-enemy. Chances are you're going to have an ally. Should we rely on outside people? Not necessarily, but we should be strong enough for them to be able to rely on us if they really want to oppose this thing, because we know it better than they do. We know it inside out. Our strength, actually, as black folks, especially having experience in the West, is our resistance to white supremacy. It's just that the matriarchs and the gynocrats and their mandingos and their goons are not resistant to it. And the funny thing is, a lot of the mandingos and the goons mean to be resistant to it. They're just tricked. And that's where I say to them, if you want to benefit from the information, you have to, for a while, shut the shuck up and let me tell you things you don't know. Then I will listen to you. I hope that one day this information is not true anymore. But in the meantime, I hope what I tell you helps. The blackest hearted man on social media, signing black out, assalamu alaikum, and black male power, just because them devils don't like it.